perfect context, except for the year between when you're 20 and 21.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Year when all your friends are 21 except for you.
Yeah, but there are ways around that.
Not legally.
All right, so
And now we're moving on.
let's see, what have we got? We got lab today.
Woo!
Lab today, bring your laptop.
Either do I.
You saw, I sent you an email. Try to bring a mouse if you can. If you have a Mac, you can't do a mouse, we'll just make it work, okay? There are a lot of different computers, but we'll figure out how to make everything work with that. The lab manual is up on the website. That's a full lab manual for the whole semester, and we're just going to march through it in order. There's no pre-lab. We have a quiz on Friday. Okay, that'll be material from yesterday and today. We talked about last time, you don't need to know glycolysis yet, but the next one, okay?
Next quiz or
Next quiz and the exam.
Okay.
And the final.
Got it.
Okay, and then let's see. What else have we got? What else have we got going on? There's a help session. Help session on Thursday. At what do we do? 8:30 to 9:30. That's on Google Meet, and the link to that is now on the webpage, as is the link to the videos for the class. Okay, and I'm uploading notes. That's uploaded as well. So take advantage of those things. My office hours, we talked about that. I've got the 2 hours on Monday, so office hours, let's go ahead and put them down. Our Monday, 1:15 to 3:15. And then Friday, 1:15 to 2:15. And then I have times outside of that, so go ahead by appointment. Just tell me after class, or we'll talk after class and try and find a time, or send me an email. I have a couple people taking advantage of time, actually 3 people taking advantage of time tomorrow after 11. So I'm going to be here at least from 11 to 1 probably tomorrow. And if you had some time in there tomorrow that you wanted to meet, I can extend that as well. So just let me know, okay? All right, questions on stuff we're doing? Let me grab out my notes and see where I wanted to start. So we've been talking about energy, and we started talking about glycolysis. And what I forgot to do last time is I didn't give my little diagram of overall metabolism. So if you were going to get anything out of second semester biochemistry, I would want you to be able to draw out kind of what overall metabolism looks like. It's catabolism, but you can draw the arrows both ways. So what I mean by that is we're going to start with polymers. Sometimes it's a fatty acid and it's not a polymer, okay? But we start with polymers. Those polymers can be broken down or built up to make monomers. So we have a polysaccharide, we break it down into making it a monosaccharide. So let's go ahead and right now, polymers, glycogen for you is your energy storage, one of your energy storage polymers. Okay, it's your energy storage polymer. We can break that down by a process called glycolysis. All right. We can build that back up from monomers by a process called gluconeogenesis. No, hold on. That's not right. Chunk. Sorry. I'm one ahead of myself. We can break the polymers down. We're just going to call it glycogen breakdown and glycogen synthesis. So boring names here. We can break those down. Now our monomers, we can break down, if our monomer is glucose, we can break that down using glycolysis. Okay, or we can build it up using a process called gluconeogenesis. Okay, and what we're going to make out of that is we're going to make it's 2 or 3 carbon intermediates. In the case of glycolysis, it's a 3 carbon intermediate. It's called pyruvate. All right, some other things could occur here. We actually have to get to our 2 carbon intermediate, which is the acetyl part of acetyl-CoA. Yes. Yes. Glycogen synthesis. Sorry, there should be a space between those.
Oh, okay.
Glycogen breakdown, glycogen synthesis. Okay. I have seen them call those, you can call it glycogenylysis. I'm not, I've seen glycogenogenesis or something like that, but not commonly used enough for us to have to learn a fancy word for it. Not that it's that hard. Okay, so in terms of pyruvate, we're actually going to end up inside this box. We're going to actually go from pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. Okay, we go from our 3 carbon intermediate to a 2 carbon intermediate, which is that acetyl group on the acetyl-CoA. And then we can come out of this and we can go around the citric acid cycle. And out of the citric acid cycle, we're going to get 2 carbon dioxides, right? We've got a 2 carbon intermediate that went in. And the real important thing we're going to get out, or what your cells are trying to get out of that, is they're going to get 3 NADH out. Okay? So they're going to use those in the electron transport chain. You're also going to get 1 FADH2 out. Or a ubiquinol out, depending on what book you're looking at and who's talking about it. I'll explain that when we get there. And there's also a GTP here. Okay, but what I'm really concerned with is these 3 NADH. May I scroll down? That okay? Okay, so we're going to get those 3 NADH. That's the biggest part of the story. And those 3 NADH are going to go into the electron transport chain, and they're going to become NAD+. So this is where, when we talked about lactate dehydrogenase so much last semester, right? This is where, if you've got enough oxygen around, you get that NAD+ back that you can then use in glycolysis again. That's where most of it comes from. Because most of our energy comes from fully oxidative processes. We're breathing, I'm sorry. So this is the electron transport chain. And what happens over the electron transport chain is the electrons from this NADH, right? We see it as an H comes off, but that H comes off and it has 2 electrons with it, right? Because this ends up being positive. Those 2 electrons get dumped into the electron transport chain, and they go from high energy to lower to lower to lower. And that energy, that as they move across the electron transport chain, the electron transport chain is actually in a membrane. We're going to over all, this is an overall view. Okay, I expect you to know this, not for the, well, you should be able to draw this for the quiz, okay, in general. But they're going to pump protons across this membrane, not into the electron transport chain up above. And then over here, we have an enzyme called ATP synthase that is going to let those protons back in across the membrane. And in the process of doing that, it's going to use that energy to power it making ATP. Okay? All right, so this is kind of the most detailed general picture that I would want. I filled in what some of the things were up above, but what we're talking about, let's go ahead and let me get it so it's all up here at once. Okay, so, but generally this is it. It's polymers to monomers to 2 or 3 carbon intermediates to the citric acid cycle to NADH comes out that goes through the electron transport chain that pumps these protons that get used to make ATP. And I forgot, very important, because we've talked about it a lot. Over here, we've got oxygen that comes in and makes water. Right? This is why you breathe, right there. Nothing else. Okay. Questions? Now, in terms of detail for this, let's see. I'm going to go find one of my old sets of notes. Maybe this? I can't read any of that. Yeah, this is it. In terms of detail for this, I think your book has maybe, hold on. Your book has a figure as well. And I may jump back and forth between the two, and I'm okay with either set of detail. Here it is. Your book has this figure without my writing. I'll go ahead and erase the writing here. Erase writing. I accept that as well. Okay? It's the same figure, maybe a little less detail in some places, but what it's showing is the same stuff. Polymers to monomers to 2 or 3 carbon intermediates to the citric acid cycle. We get some NADH out, we run it through an electron transport chain, oxygen goes in and 2, and we get ATP out. That's less detailed. I'd accept that as well. Questions? Here, I'll tell you what, I'll put that in the notes over there as well, next to it.